On a typical afternoon in ancient Europe, the year was 453 AD, and Attila the Hun was the most powerful man in the world. He had recently ravaged much of Central and Southern Europe, even reaching the capital of the Roman Empire. After promising the Pope that he would withdraw his troops from the city, Attila prepared to celebrate his marriage to his new bride, Ildiko, who was regarded as one of the most beautiful women in all of Italy. For this grand occasion, Attila arranged an elaborate banquet. However, when the next day dawned, the most feared and powerful man of that era was found dead. After a prolonged silence, when Attila failed to appear for breakfast, his bodyguards discovered him on the floor of his chamber, beside the bed, clutching the bedsheet, with blood streaming from his nose. Attila, the man who had brought Europe to its knees and unleashed a series of barbarian invasions that contributed directly to the fall of the Western Roman Empire, had met a mysterious end. His immense power and battlefield bravery counted for nothing on that fateful day. This sudden and enigmatic demise raises several questions. Was there foul play involved? Did Attila die due to an accident, natural causes, or was he murdered by his own wife? To answer these questions, it is essential first to understand who Attila was and why his story holds such significance in history. Attila was born around 406 AD in a region that is now part of Hungary. From a young age, he was groomed to be a fierce warrior, but contrary to the common perception, Attila was not an irrational barbarian. He was born into a powerful family from the northern region of the Danube Basin, an area that was both strategically significant and commercially vital, being the second largest river in Europe. His uncles, Oebarcius and Ruga, were pivotal in the construction of the Hun Empire, and Attila was raised with the expectation that he would one day lead his people. As a child, Attila was trained in archery, swordsmanship, and hand-to-hand combat. He also received instruction in horsemanship, strategy, diplomacy, and likely studied Greek and Latin texts. A Roman historian, Priscus, who encountered Attila firsthand, described him as a powerful and intelligent leader who dressed modestly despite his wealth and influence. Attila's preparation and warrior spirit quickly propelled him to leadership. In 434 AD, he became the co-ruler of the Huns alongside his brother Bleda. Together, they expanded the Hun Empire, conquering numerous cities through both military might and strategic cunning. After seizing control of these cities, the brothers would order their troops to plunder everything in sight. For a time, their partnership seemed unbreakable. However, in 445 AD, driven by a thirst for absolute power, Attila murdered his brother Bleda, thus seizing total control of the Hun Empire. This act consolidated his authority and marked the beginning of even more devastating military campaigns. Attila's reign coincided with the height of Hun power, as he united the Germanic tribes of the Roman Empire, including the Ostrogoths, Caucasians, Alemanni, and Akatsiri, under his dominion. To achieve this, Attila unleashed his formidable war machine from the vast Hungarian plains, launching two major campaigns against the Eastern Roman Empire between 442 and 447 AD. He captured many key cities in the Balkans and repeatedly defeated imperial forces in open battle. His military prowess and relentless conquests made Attila the nightmare of Europe, as his campaigns were swift, brutal, and merciless. Between 445 and 451 AD, he led a series of invasions, laying waste to cities and subjugating entire regions. Attila the Hun, one of history's most enigmatic and feared leaders, commanded an empire that stretched across vast swaths of Europe during the 5th century. His reputation as the Scourge of God was not merely a product of his brutal conquests, but also a testament to his strategic genius, his ability to wield psychological warfare, and his impact on the course of European history. The rise of Attila and the Huns, their devastating campaigns, and the mysterious circumstances surrounding his death continue to fascinate historians and scholars to this day. The rise of Attila and the Hun Empire. Attila was born around 406 AD, in what is now modern-day Hungary, into a powerful family that was deeply entrenched in the leadership of the Huns. From a young age, Attila was groomed for leadership, trained in the arts of war, diplomacy, and governance. Contrary to popular belief, Attila was not a mere barbarian warlord. He was educated in the complex politics of the time and was well versed in the traditions of his people, as well as in the knowledge of the Greeks and Romans. His early life was marked by rigorous training in archery, horseback riding, and close combat, skills that would later make him a formidable military leader. The Huns were a nomadic people, believed to have originated from the steppes of Central Asia. They were masters of horseback riding, and their swift and mobile cavalry became the backbone of their military might. By the time Attila rose to power, the Huns had already established themselves as a significant force in Europe, under the leadership of his uncles, Octor and Ruga. These men had laid the foundation for what would become a vast empire, and Attila was poised to take their legacy to new heights. In 434 AD, following the death of his uncle Ruga, Attila and his brother Bleda assumed joint leadership of the Huns. Together, they embarked on a series of military campaigns that expanded the Hun Empire and solidified their power. The early years of their reign were marked by aggressive expansion, as they pushed into Roman territories, demanding tribute and plundering cities. The Huns became known for their relentless and merciless attacks, often leaving a trail of devastation in their wake. The strategic genius of Attila. One of the key factors that set Attila apart from other leaders of his time was his strategic brilliance. He understood that sheer force alone would not be enough to conquer and maintain an empire. Instead, he employed a combination of military tactics, psychological warfare, and diplomatic maneuvering to achieve his goals. Attila's armies were a formidable war machine, and their success was largely due to the mobility and effectiveness of the Hun cavalry. The mounted archers, who could shoot arrows with deadly accuracy while riding at full speed, were a crucial element of Attila's strategy. This highly mobile force allowed the Huns to outmaneuver larger, more cumbersome armies, striking quickly and retreating before the enemy could mount a proper defense. In addition to their prowess in battle, the Huns were masters of siege warfare. Attila's forces were known for their ability to besiege and capture fortified cities, often using rudimentary siege engines and overwhelming force. The speed and ferocity of their attacks left little time for cities to prepare or call for reinforcements, leading to quick and decisive victories. But it wasn't just their physical capabilities that made the Huns so effective. Attila also understood the power of fear as a weapon. His reputation as a ruthless and unstoppable conqueror spread quickly, often causing cities to surrender without a fight. This psychological warfare was a crucial component of his strategy, as the mere threat of a Hun invasion was enough to induce panic and submission. The fear of Attila and his hordes became so ingrained in the psyche of the time that it led to the creation of numerous legends and myths, portraying him as a divine scourge sent to punish the sinful. Attila's use of alliances and diplomacy was another key aspect of his success. He was not averse to negotiating with his enemies when it served his purposes. For example, he often extracted tribute from the Eastern Roman Empire, effectively turning them into a source of revenue for his empire. These payments, which were essentially bribes to keep the Huns from attacking, were a testament to the fear and respect that Attila commanded. However, when diplomacy failed or when he sensed weakness, Attila did not hesitate to resort to violence. The Hun invasions and their impact on Europe. By the mid-5th century, Attila's power had reached its zenith. In 451 AD, he launched an invasion of Gaul, one of the most significant military campaigns of his career. Gaul, which corresponds roughly to modern-day France, was a key territory of the Western Roman Empire. Attila's invasion was marked by a series of brutal and destructive attacks, as his forces swept through the region, plundering cities and leaving a trail of devastation. The invasion culminated in the Battle of the Catalonian Plains, one of the bloodiest battles of the era. The battle pitted Attila's forces against a coalition of Roman and Visigothic troops, led by the Roman general Flavius Aetius and the Visigothic king Theodoric I. The battle was fiercely contested, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. Although neither side emerged as a clear victor, the battle demonstrated the formidable power of the Hun army and reinforced Attila's reputation as one of the most dangerous leaders of his time. Following the Battle of the Catalonian Plains, Attila turned his attention to Italy. In 452 AD, he launched an invasion of the Italian peninsula, with the goal of capturing Rome itself. His forces laid waste to several cities in northern Italy, including Aquileia, which was completely destroyed. The devastation wrought by the Huns was so severe that many cities were abandoned, and the survivors fled to the safety of the surrounding mountains and islands, giving rise to settlements like Venice. As Attila advanced towards Rome, the Western Roman Empire was in a state of desperation. The emperor, Valentinian III, was powerless to stop the Hun invasion, and the Roman military was in disarray. In a last-ditch effort to save the city, Pope Leo I took the unprecedented step of meeting Attila in person. The details of their meeting remain shrouded in mystery, but it is known that Pope Leo managed to persuade Attila to turn back and spare Rome from destruction. Some accounts suggest that the Pope offered Attila a substantial sum of gold, while others imply that he appealed to Attila's sense of mercy or fear of divine retribution. Whatever the case, Attila agreed to withdraw his forces, and Rome was spared. This event has been immortalized in art and legend, and it remains one of the most iconic moments of Attila's career. It also marked the beginning of the end for the Hun Empire, as internal strife and external pressures soon led to its decline. The mysterious death of Attila. The circumstances surrounding Attila's death in 453 AD have been the subject of speculation and debate for centuries. According to the most widely accepted account, Attila died on his wedding night, after marrying a woman named Ildiko. The Huns found their leader dead the next morning, lying in a pool of blood with no visible wounds. One theory suggests that Attila suffered a fatal nosebleed during the night, possibly exacerbated by heavy drinking or a pre-existing health condition. This theory is supported by the account of Priscus, a contemporary Roman historian, who described the scene in detail. However, the idea of a nosebleed causing death has been met with skepticism by some historians, who argue that it is unlikely for a nosebleed alone to cause such a sudden and fatal hemorrhage. Another theory posits that Attila was assassinated, possibly by his new wife, Ildiko, or by enemies within his own court. Poisoning is often cited as a possible cause, as it would explain the lack of external injuries. However, there is little concrete evidence to support this theory, and it remains purely speculative. A third possibility is that Attila died of a cardiovascular event, such as a heart attack or an aneurysm. Given the limited medical knowledge of the time, such a condition could have easily gone undiagnosed and would have caused a sudden and unexpected death. Regardless of the cause, Attila's death marked the beginning of the end for the Hun Empire. Without his leadership, the empire quickly fragmented, as rival factions vied for power. His sons were unable to maintain the unity and strength that Attila had built, and the Huns soon lost their dominance in Europe. The legacy of Attila. Attila's legacy is a complex and multifaceted one. On one hand, he is remembered as a ruthless conqueror who brought devastation to vast regions of Europe. His campaigns of terror and destruction left a lasting impact on the continent, contributing to the collapse of the Western Roman Empire and shaping the geopolitical landscape of medieval Europe. On the other hand, Attila is also seen as a brilliant strategist and leader who understood the complexities of power and warfare. His ability to inspire loyalty among his troops, his use of psychological warfare, and his tactical innovations set him apart from other leaders of his time. Attila's reputation as a fearsome warrior was not only a product of his conquests but also of the myths and legends that grew around his name. In many ways, Attila's impact extended beyond his lifetime. The chaos and instability that followed his death paved the way for the rise of new powers in Europe, including the Germanic kingdoms that would eventually dominate the continent. The fall of the Western Roman Empire, hastened by Attila's invasions, marked the end of antiquity and the beginning of the Middle Ages, a period that would see the transformation of Europe into a new cultural and political landscape. Attila also left a lasting mark on the collective memory of Europe. His name became synonymous with destruction and terror, and he was often invoked as a symbol of divine punishment. Over the centuries, Attila has been depicted in various forms of art, literature, and folklore, ranging from villainous portrayals to more nuanced interpretations of his character and leadership. In modern times, Attila has become a subject of fascination for historians, who continue to study his life and legacy in an effort to understand the complex forces that shaped the history of Europe. His story serves as a reminder of the power of leadership, the fragility of empires, and the enduring impact of historical figures on the world stage. Conclusion. Attila the Hun remains one of history's most compelling figures, a leader whose life and actions left an indelible mark on the course of European history. His rise to power, his military campaigns, and the mysterious circumstances of his death continue to captivate the imagination of scholars and the public alike. Attila's legacy, though often associated with destruction and fear, also offers valuable lessons in leadership, strategy, and the complexities of power. The story of Attila is not just a tale of conquest and warfare, it is also a reflection of the turbulent times in which he lived, a period of transition that saw the decline of one empire and the rise of many others. In the end, Attila's impact on history cannot be measured solely by the lands he conquered or the cities he destroyed, but also by the lasting influence he had on the development of Europe and the world. His name, etched in the annals of history, serves as a reminder of the power and the perils of leadership in a world of constant change.